Welcome to OTR, Over the Rainbow, Achieving Mental Health for Real. This podcast offers hope to many people who needlessly suffer from mental health issues. Your host, Bob Adelman, brings you information on how you can recover from any mental health issue and achieve a happier life. Each episode interviews experts like doctors, counselors, and life artists who give helpful tips on living a happier life. But most importantly, Bob interviews ordinary people who have suffered with a mental health issue, some on the brink of or attempted to take their own lives. Each one has recovered to lead a much happier life. Most of the guests have books or websites with more info that you can use for recovery. You can do it too. If you want to know more, please check out his trailer. Bob's notes on today's show follows.
Today, I interviewed Natacha Marianczuk in the episode ADHD/ADD, The Silent Disability, from October 18, 2021. Today we talk more about the issues people with ADHD suffer and how it affects their relationships with friends and family. Natacha has ADHD and is taking medication which helps with the issue. But she says a good diet is essential. I think this is an important message to help educate the public, to help fight back and reduce the stigma of ADHD and allow people to flourish in school and life's relationships.
Now, here's Bob with today's show.
And today we have a great show. Today's guest is someone who was on the show prior to this in the episode called ADHD, A Silent Disability. Her name is Natacha Marianczuk, and today we'll be talking about ADHD relationships and some of the hardships that we go through. For instance, I think we find it difficult to learn by just memorizing details and the conventional cookie-cutter way they teach. Natacha, do you agree that there's problems in these areas?
Yes, Bob, I do. And it has been a struggle since I am a child. And thanks to the medication, it has helped me a lot. And it was a game changer for me since I started the medication. But also, there is a lot to consider with the medication. It's like nutrition is very important. It's very important to feed your body as you age. It's very important to take your supplements. It's very important to have a diet of high protein each day.
You know what? I eat chocolate chip cookies, ice cream. I really have to do what you're doing. I think that would help me. I don't know about a lot, but it would help me. And God, I need help. My main problems is that no, you can't explain this problem to other people. They're basically, we don't care. We can't do anything. We don't believe you have it. You're a narcissist. You're mean. You're rude. You don't listen. All of these things I've talked about many a times. But it's good to have the validation that I'm not the only one that's out there. Could you tell us about your relationships and the hardships you might have with those relationships?
Yes, but first I want to tell you, definitely not the only one here. And I can see there is more and more people sharing their story about their ADHD and ADD. To my experience, I have always had a good relationship with people. As I age more and more, I learn how to deal with my ADHD.
How are you doing as far as your relationships, and what effect do you think ADHD has on your relationships?
I'm doing better. Look, I'm 42 years old now. I'm doing much better. The thing is, like, when you are ADD and ADHD, you cannot connect with anyone. And that's why maybe some people, they find nobody understand them, because you have to find your tribe. You have to find your community where people are like you. And there are many, many of them. Now, more I express myself and more I find people like me. It doesn't mean they're going to have the same brain, because we all have a different brain. We all function differently. And what works for me will not maybe works for others. I'm very careful about my relationships, the people I hang out. I don't. The thing is, like, you have to set your boundary all the time with people, and if you stay with people who judge you because of your behavior, which is linked to ADHD, it's not a good environment. Selective. I have been always selective with the people I talk to and very careful. And more you experience that and more you know what people you have to talk about it or not.
I have a lot of problems with my loved ones. I was married to a girl for 13 years, and she basically took advantage of it. And then when things got rough, she bailed out and she said I was crazy and there's no such thing as ADHD and stuff like that. She thought I was making everything up. And now what's really bad is my children are going through that same stage. Now that they're grown up, they have their own opinions about the world. I try to talk to them and do things, and they find me to be mean, interrupting, not listening. And they pretty much, when I have a little bit of an anger problem, so one time I yelled at them and it was just like the end of the world. They ghosted me, and now my daughter is still ghosting me. So I find it extremely difficult to explain this problem to a person that doesn't have it.
Yes. It was also my battle and my big struggle when I was young. When I was younger, I mean, when I was child and teenager, I didn't know what was wrong with me, why I could not understand and why I could not find any connection with other people. And I could not understand why other kids and students were doing well at school. And me, I was not even interested. I was not finding any interest, any motivation going at school because I did not have the capacity to understand the instruction, just a simple instruction. I did not have the capacity to follow what was taught at school. And I find it very useless and very unnecessary.
The way they taught us in school was a lot of details, memorize it. And like you said, when we got directions, like you 4 people go in the corner and do this, that, and the other thing, I was always lost. I had a bad short-term memory my entire life. I used to show up to a classroom in college, and I didn't even have the class because I was confused that I had this teacher somewhere else. So now I'm supposed to go to the class that I'm not supposed to be in. So everything, if I go to the airport, it's just unbelievable. I can't do anything. My mind freezes up and I just can't do anything. And over the years, I would sit in my car when I got home at night and I would say, why? Why am I so different? Why am I like a reject? Why do people abuse me? Because that's what I got. I don't know about you, but I got tons of abuse from my so-called friends. Did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, probably, of course. But the abuse issue is also our lesson to not let people in or surrounding and abuse us, because feeling abused is first we abuse ourselves and we let those people abusing us. And as long as we let them and we allow them to abuse us, we will feel abused. So we have to break this cycle and this repetitive pattern in order to not feel abused, to not attract those abusive people, because more you're going to feel like a victim and more you're going to be surrounded by those people.
I think those people really wanted to be with me just for that reason, so they could make themselves feel better.
Yes.
And make fun of me. And I was like, well, at least I have friends. I'll accept this abuse because I have friends. And when I met new people, I had this problem where I would purposely do something stupid to get it over with, to say, look, this is going to be a relationship. You're going to abuse me and I'm going to take it. And I would establish that in the beginning and just say, really do something stupid. Or I was afraid of doing something stupid. So my problem now is I'm afraid of people. I'm afraid of people, completely afraid of people. I'm afraid of failure. When I work on my computer, I constantly get the demons that talk to me and say, you're too old. You can't do this anymore. You're bad. You're this. You should give up. You should give up. They keep telling me to give up. And I don't know what we can tell people that have this problem. You made a good point about boundaries, but how do we get them to feel good about themselves?
Well, it's not easy, Bob. I've been working a lot of that, and why people, they keep repeating the same cycle, feel this way about themselves is because there is always something to heal from the root, and the root is always from the trauma of our childhood. We all go through trauma, and you always have to go back to how you were treated by your parents and your family and the member of your family. How did they treat you? So this is how you have been programmed. The things that you feel a failure, it's not true. It's just because it's an old belief, and it's the old belief system that you have been raised, and that your parents, teachers, surrounding, they makes you believe that you are a failure, that you are not good enough. But this is not true. And some people, they keep on growing up like this. I will say, like, how to solve that is not going to be like overnight, but you always have to treat the problem and the issue from the root, which is always your childhood. If you have that raised by your parents.
And what happened to me was a perfect storm. My brother, who's a year older than me, my mother said he knocked me down when I tried to walk. And it just got worse and worse because I was an easy target. He abused me 24 hours a day. Anytime I had contact with him, he would tell me how bad I am. Even to this day, we had a situation where this guy was really nuts, and he was getting in your face, talking crap and stuff. And I said, I said, who's crazier, me or him? And my brother said, you are, definitely. You're crazier. So this is what I've had to deal with. Right now, my heart is broken because my daughter has ghosted me. She won't let me in. She won't let me talk to her. And it's all because of this issue and how the problem is we have to educate the public. There has to be schools that we can go to that teach the way we learn. And people like this are very important because they're creative, and a lot of them are very smart. But, I'm afraid that if you're born with this and you're not smart, that's a death sentence. That's like you're going to be on the street or you're going to be in jail. Because I use all the intelligence that I have to get by on a day-to-day basis. It's really, really hard. And when I worked, every day I was acting. Every day I'm always under pressure to perform. Anytime I'm in a group of people, I feel the pressure that I have to perform. And it's gotten to a point where it's ridiculous. And I'm working on it, but it's very hard.
Yeah. Where the first one who judge is you judge yourself. So you have to, it's not an easy work, obviously. It's a very heavy healing work to do, to start setting your boundaries with people and stop allowing them to treat you the way that you don't want to be treated anymore. Also, the people that treat you like this and abuse you, it's also they have their own issue and their own trauma. And
yes.
You keep attracting the same people as you feel, you attract the same people. So each day, and it doesn't mean you have to do big things every day, but each day you can start by clearing your way, like setting your boundary, like say no. If someone talk to you badly, is disrespectful with you, or saying mean things to you, just say no, cut this person off, don't reply.
I do that.
And you have to be consistent. It's not like just one day I say no and the other day is going to be kind, so it's okay, I'm going to allow him to come back, it's fine. No, you have to be very firm, because you deserve so much better, and you have to be true to yourself. You are not a failure. You're not a failure. Nobody's a failure. Nobody is stupid. It's just the way we were brought up. And they make us believe we are, and we are not. And it's your duty. It's your responsibility. It's nobody's responsibility. It's your mission here in this lifetime to change and to rewrite your future and to recreate yourself. And it's never too late. Nothing is set in a stone. You can always change, always.
Yes, from your mouth to God's ears. I do pray, even though I'm basically agnostic, but I feel that there is a presence inside of me that I can pray to. And, I'll pray things like, please don't let me mess up in this meeting. Because meetings were like, oh my God, it was like so much pressure that whole day that I felt inside. And then when I got to the meeting, a lot of times I was okay, because I think I produced a lot of adrenaline. So I was basically an adrenaline junkie. And I think that's another thing that people with ADHD do. They do things that make them get certain emotions and chemicals in their brain, so they don't have to feel so bad all the time. They can distract themselves. They can control their pain. In other words, I'm going to let this person abuse me, because if I don't, it'll be too much pressure to try to stop them. And that's what happens to me all the time. And it's just a shame. And I'm trying the hardest I can. What would you tell people? Like, in other words, if you saw 100 people with ADHD as a group, what would you tell them? Is it the most important thing to eat right? Is it to take the right pills? Is it to go to a counselor? What can a person do that's in dire straits? What can they do not to have to suffer so much?
Well, I don't have the recipe, but like, it's not only one thing who is going to solve your problem. Everybody has a different journey and has a different purpose in this life. And what I can only share according to my experience, and how I went through that. Yes, I had abusing parents. I had a mom that was a narcissistic, and I had a father who abused me. He beat me up with the belt since the age of 7 until the age of 14. So I grew up with very low self-esteem. Obviously, my ADD was very severe. And what I can suggest is my own experience. I had to learn a lot of things, which is also nutrition is the key, is crucial. Your nutrition, you're going to feed your brain, not only your gut, but you're going to feed your brain.
Yeah, you can't just take in chocolate chips and ice cream and whatever you want to. You have to, if you really want to get better, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to do everything I can. Because there was a guy I talked to, he had bipolar really bad. He'd go into bad manic episodes. And what helps him the most, he said, was changing his diet. He completely changed his diet, and he exercises. Those two things, I think, are important for everybody, but almost critical for people with ADHD or any autistic spectrum person. That's the other thing. My thing is that there's a spectrum, autism, and somewhere on that spectrum fits ADHD. But I think we all tend to go over that line into almost an autism state. Because I would be like, when I was first in school, I talked to nobody. I just sat there. My brother used to go over to a friend's house, and I used to watch it like it was TV. I was in a whole different world. And that to me, seems like it has some autism elements to it. And it might not be fair to just say ADHD. It might be fair to say an autism disorder or something nicer than disorder. But I think that's important too, to realize that you might have more than ADHD. You might have other things on the autism scale. And I think that's critical for people to know that. And my advice is, if you can stand the medicine, take it, especially the ones that aren't, that don't get you hyper. I was given a medicine. So far, I've been only taken a short while, so I don't know the results. But I think it's also important that we do try to make things better for ourselves in this world. So it's easier to think, it's easier to remember, things like that. So I'm really pro drugs. I mean, not illegal drugs, but drugs that will make your brain and your chemistry work better. And I know you take something for that, right?
Yes, Bob. Like everybody has a different experience and experience the medication or experience everything differently. Really, the most important things, and for all human beings, but especially for people with ADD that we have, we work differently. And you know what? The society makes you, like when you go to school, the school system is like one size fits all. And that's why there is so much failure at school. That's why that's why there is also teenager, a lot of suicide, a lot of depression in teenagers. Like I experienced that myself, because you don't fit in the world, and the society ask you to dim your light to fit in, and which I absolutely refuse. We are all different. We are not one size fit all. That's why the school system is, for me, total mess up.
I think we have to urge everyone that has an ADHD child or has ADHD themselves to demand better schools, to demand something where we can learn, where they show us examples and we go, oh yeah, I get that. It's like barbaric the way we do things now, the cookie cutter school. So I encourage everyone to speak out. Don't be ashamed of what you have. Speak out. Tell people, even if it's your loved ones, maybe you'll lose your loved ones, but you got to do it. You got to speak out for yourself and tell yourself, I'm smart. I'm just packaged in a different brain than most people, but I'm still smart and I'm still good and I'm still someone worthwhile to have dignity and have a good life. And this is why I do the show. And I appreciate, you helped me so much today. I had problems with all my equipment and you stood in there and you were very patient. And I thank you for that. Is there any final words that you would want to tell anybody?
You know what? You don't have to say thank you, because we have to help each other, and you have to find your community. You have to find the people who are like you and where you speak the same language. And yes, ADD, ADHD, we are required to have a very strict, specific diet, because I experienced this myself. The medication doesn't work alone. It works, but as more as you age, on my experience, and I can only share, I don't say it's going to be like this for everyone, but on my experience, I got very sick those past few months and I had to leave my job. I got very sick because I forgot to eat. I was not feeding my body properly. because of the medication as well. So medication helps you a lot, but there is a cost behind that. And you have to be very, very careful. If you don't eat properly, if you don't eat the right food, I don't say eat anything you want, like sugar, carbs. Refined carbs are very, very bad for an ADD brain. The doctors, by the way, they don't help you. They don't know, because they are not like us. They don't have, my psychiatrist is a great one, but he has never given me the guidance and the support I have asked for it. I had to find all my answers and all my guidance by myself. I had to experience to be sick. I had to experience to feel the medication that was not working. I had to try to eat all sort of kind of food for months and months, until now I finally find what is right for my brain. And it's a high amount of protein each day, which I have to take in the morning, first things before you take your medication. You have to have like a whey protein or vegan protein shake packed with spinach, greens, berries, oats. And to me, this is what it works. I can only give suggestion and share my experience. Everybody's brain is different.
I thank you very much for coming on your show. You're always a great guest. The last show you did really well. But I think we have to end it. It's getting to a point where some people can't pay attention, ironically. But I really appreciate you doing this, taking the time out, and just have a great, wonderful time until I talk to you again.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure to share.
Thank you. Take care.